support Ollie, support Luke, support WrestleTalk, or better yet, take just a moment, stop what you're doing, and bask in their glory.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Are or is WWE wrong to control wrestlers' Twitch channels? I am Luke Owen, and I'm joined by the hardest working woman in all of wrestling infotainment, Denise Salcedo. How are you, Denise?
Like you said, the hardest working women in, what did you say? Infotainment. I love what you said. I'm stealing that one. I'm a little stressed. I'm a little tired, but you know what? I'm pulling through. But thank you so much, though. Honestly, it's been a crazy week. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yet you are now on Fightful. You're now on Sportskeeda. You're obviously here on WrestleTalk. You're also now on Figure 4 Online. Like you're all over the place, mate.
I had a show every single day this week because I did Wrestling Observer Live on Tuesday. So I have a show literally every single day. And it's been crazy because I'm like, okay, which show's today? Which show's that day? And obviously I have it all in my brain, but there's still that moment where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing today. Like I have to go over the day and just kind of prepare for it. But it's cool. I'm excited. I'm just happy that, this is all, working itself out.
I've also just realized as well, I don't have my championship up. I need to have
you gotta get it up.
I've got to get the title over. Otherwise, it's not going to get itself over, brother. Hold on.
Oh, man, it looks great, by the way. It looks fantastic.
Doesn't it just? Oh, this is so difficult to do on a chair. Right, let's get on with the actual show itself. Early morning here. It's still dark outside for me. That's
is
how
it really?
We're recording. Oh, yeah, it's still dark outside. It's getting later in the year, so it's always going to get dark.
Well, at least we both have a little bit of darkness right now because it's dark for me, for sure.
I was going to say, it's like nearly midnight now?
Yeah, almost.
Anyway, right. So our big news story of the week, and this is kind of one that's been sort of going on for a little while now. This got reported a few weeks back, and that is that WWE are looking to take control of their talents, their independent contractors, Twitch accounts, their cameos, this, that, and the other. And I think this probably stems from the fact that it's probably within their contract that WWE owned their Twitter accounts and their Instagram accounts. So they're probably just looking at it to be like, okay, well, we also should own their Twitch accounts as well. We should also own any cameos and any sort of money that they are making outside of their WWE contracts. And Wrestling Inc. have posted the latest update on this, which reads, in September, McMahon issued an edict instructing talent they could no longer engage with third parties. The company later clarified the edict, stating the talent could maintain Twitch and YouTube accounts under their real names. However, they would need to inform the company of these accounts. Wrestling Inc. has also learned that the talent were told this week that the company will be taking control of their Twitch account in 4 weeks' time. WWE will own those accounts. However, talent will receive a percentage of the revenue, which counts against their downside guarantees. So we've seen sort of in the past week, Roderick Strong announced yesterday that he is leaving Cameo, and he joins Roman Reigns, Matt Riddle, Bobby Fish, and Ron Killings, who've also left Cameo. And WWE will own Twitch accounts, which includes the likes of Ember Moon, Adam Cole, Mia Yim, Dakota Kai, Zelina Vega, and Andrew Yang, former presidential candidate Andrew Yang, who's been very, very in on this story, posted, this would be infuriating to me if I had spent time building up my social media channels only to have WWE take them down from their independent contractors. People are angry, and rightfully so. Denise, what do you make of all this?
Oh man, this is such a complicated situation. I mean, on one hand, coming from an aspect of somebody who's a creator, somebody that's on YouTube and knows the struggle of everything that it takes to, putting something up, promoting it, and just kind of, getting all of that going. I can't necessarily be in favor of, not being able to have that creative aspect, that creative ability. And so just kind of hearing everything that's going down with all of this, I get it if, they are using their on-screen WWE names. Okay, I get it. That's, obviously that's a character that they're promoting on WWE television. That's a name that they've invested in. I get all that. But I do think that maybe people should have the option of, doing it with their real name and then having it be its own separate entity, or, doing it with their character name, then okay, definitely be under this, WWE umbrella. I'm not very familiar with how Twitch works, but I do know that YouTube, you can be a part of a management group, because I know a lot of YouTubers have those sorts of deals where, yeah, they have their own channel and it's under their name, but they may be under management with somebody else. And I know that's a big thing that they do on YouTube. And so I would definitely see that with WWE, them doing something like that, especially if they're using the character name. But I do think that people should, especially if they're independent contractors, they should have the option to have it just be themselves, just have it be their real name. And it's a little bit crazy, and it's a very complicated situation, and it's getting kind of ugly, especially now that Andrew Yang is sort of putting this emphasis on it. For a long time, there's certain things that can sort of go under the rug. They can go hidden. They don't have to be absolutely exploited, especially in the news or in mainstream media or anything like that. Like, things could go really below the radar with WWE. But obviously he's definitely putting an emphasis on this, and now that he has supporters and people that are like, yes, he's doing something about it, it's definitely something that is going to come up. But I am curious as to how this will affect not just WWE but all wrestling companies once this gets put out there even more.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a real difficult situation for us to talk about, because we are not in the positions of Adam Cole and Mia Yim and all these people who are running their Twitch accounts. We don't really know sort of the ins and outs of everything and sort of how they're feeling about this. But I think from a sort of a personal standpoint, if I was particularly in this year where we've been in the middle of a pandemic, and to kind of explain broadly how a downside guarantee works, as best as I understand it, because it is a really, really complex thing to understand. As best I understand it is, and this was explained brilliantly on Twitter by Trevor Dame, you should all follow, he's excellent. If you sign a contract for $200,000 a year, and you then have your merchandise and your live ticket gates and things like that, percentage of that goes towards that 200,000. But if your merch and everything only equates to 100,000, WWE have to give you another 100,000 to make up that 200,000 downside guarantee. The idea being is that 200,000 is your base level, and you would oversell your merchandise, you would oversell on tickets and this, that, and the other. So you would make more than that 200,000, right? I think that's the way that it broadly works. So if I am a wrestler in this pandemic where I'm not going to be selling as much merch, I'm not going to be getting a cut of ticket sales because there are no ticket sales at the moment, and I'm looking at that downside guarantee, it's like, well, I want to try and make as much money on top of that in an outside realm to make sure that I've got enough money coming in so that I can buy groceries and I can pay my bills and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, so my understanding of how this works, so essentially, let's say, I don't know, you signed a $75,000 1-year contract deal, and you're doing this Twitch thing, and I don't know, on Twitch you make $10,000. That counts towards that. So essentially, WWE doesn't have to pay you those $10,000 because you already essentially made it with Twitch. And that is the part where I'm just like, man, that's insane. Because I mean, think about it. Let's say somebody just makes a whole lot of money on Twitch. I mean, I don't know how much money the talent is making, to be honest. I have no idea if it even is a big amount or it's a small amount, if it's an amount that's worth it. I don't know. But if you think about it, like if it's a large number like that, and then that's sort of taken away from you, it's kind of like you're sort of working for free, when you go and you do your regular job with WWE. So that is a very complicated situation to be in. So I almost think that, maybe the talent has to sort of analyze whether or not it's worth it for them to stay on Twitch. Again, I would know a lot better if I knew what kind of money and what kind of amount we were talking about here. But because I don't know that, I don't necessarily want to say like, oh, just leave Twitch or stay on Twitch, it's worth it or it's not worth it. I don't know. But it's just it's pretty insane. And I'm thinking like, honestly, I do think that with this new age of media, I mean, we have TikTok, we have YouTube, we have so many different in Twitch, we have so many different ways where people can just become so popular. And like, let's say, I don't know, one of Zelina Vega, she just absolutely explodes on Twitch. The fact that she can grow on a certain platform, it can help give eyes and give more public attention to pro wrestling in general. So I think if anything, have the talent out there, exposing themselves so that more people could be like, oh, I like this Zelina Vega person. Oh, she's a wrestler. Let me find out about that, because there's still so many people that aren't wrestling fans. And so I just really think that if anything, social media and TikTok and all of this stuff can help, just keep bringing along those new eyeballs into the product. But then again, that's, everybody has a different mentality when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned the Andrew Yang thing, because he's been posting about this, and this is not the first time he's posted about it. When this news first came out, like I posted up on Twitter, like wrestling and WWE in particular are lucky that no one gives an F about wrestling in the mainstream world. Like, because this is bonkers news, because this is essentially a company saying, like, the independent contractor thing doesn't work anyway. Like, as soon as you put it under any form of scrutiny, the whole thing falls apart. They're not independent contractors because they work exclusively for one company. So they're not independents. And now you're taking these independent contractors, big air quotes, Bucky O'Hare is for independent contractors, and you are saying, and the money that you're making outside of this, you cannot make anymore. You're only going to make a portion of it, and it's actually going to count towards your wage that we are supposed to be paying you as a contractor. And like Andrew Yang, he was the first person who is a former presidential candidate. He is working towards being part of the Biden Harris. Should they win the presidential election in November, he wants to be part of their team. And he has said that one of the things he's going to do is going to be going after McMahon and WWE and looking into this. This is something that, like, in 6 months' time, we could be looking at this story being a huge, huge change in the way that WWE operates in terms of hiring their staff and paying their talent.
Exactly. And so I'm obviously, we can't speculate who's going to win the election or who's going to do what or all of that stuff. But my theory is, like, I started kind of just trying to, think if I was in the situation, I would sort of start making these changes now, so that, let's say, Biden does win. And, maybe right now they're counting on the fact that Donald Trump might win. And so, they're a little bit more in favor on that end there. So if, you don't want to have Biden win and then all of a sudden have to start making these changes out of nowhere, because that they're going to start, somebody like an Andrew Yang is going to start, heading towards you and looking at you and pointing all fingers at you. I would rather start to make the changes now. But then also, I feel like the last couple of weeks, we've been hearing different things. We've been hearing, oh, WWE has decided this. Oh, now they've decided this. And a lot of the information has been unclear, or it hasn't really, we haven't had all of our questions answered. So I do think that things may be changing, but at the same time, it's like, all right, Vince said 4 weeks, correct? 4 weeks, and he's going to own people's Twitch's account unless they part from Twitch, correct? So it's like, okay, we have an official date, we have a time frame now. So it's like, what on earth is going to happen? So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, if I was a talent, I probably wouldn't even see Twitch as being worth it for me anymore. Or I would tell people, sure, come follow me on Twitch, but don't give me any money, which is pretty crazy, right? Because I want to make the money that I'm supposed to make for the work that I'm already doing.
Oh yeah, I from a personal standpoint, like, I think it really sucks for talents, particularly if this is something that they really enjoy doing. Like, if you are, like, Adam Cole loves being on Twitch. You watch his streams, he absolutely loves being on there, and he has got this sort of like community of people that he kind of works with. He does a lot of stuff with former Quizzlemania contestant Crown Pooh Bear, and I think if you are now looking at being like, it's kind of sucks because I love doing this, but the money that I'm making from this isn't actually really going to be going into my pocket, because a portion of it is going to this other company that they're not doing anything to kind of facilitate the work that I'm doing here. I'm doing the work and they're taking the money for it. I think that really would make me, like you say, second guess why I'm doing this, like why I'm spending my spare time doing this anymore. And that sucks for them because it's something they enjoy, but it also sucks for the audience that they've built that enjoy watching that.
Exactly. And I mean, we could get into all the ins and outs of, being an independent contractor. I'm an independent contractor. I've been an independent contractor for the last 5 years. And I got to say, as much as it has its ups and downs and its benefits and its perk, I love it because you get to do whatever you want. You get to work with whoever you want. And I do, because I come and have lived this independent contractor freelance life, it's very hard for me to be like, oh, wow, they shouldn't do this or they shouldn't do that, because it's such a hard thing to give up. For me, if I ever had to, give up my, freedom like this, it would be a very hard decision because of all the time that I have, invested into my work. And it's just you really start to think about things differently when you start to put yourself in that position and what would happen.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments down below, because I think this is a really interesting topic, and I'd really like to get people's opinions on this. Moving over to the ratings war, the Wednesday night ratings war, it does continue. And according to Triple H, it is going to still continue. The move to Tuesday that was rumored for NXT probably might be off the table now. He's quite headstrong on staying on Wednesday nights. But AEW was slightly up from last week, drew 866,000 viewers with a 0.33 in the demo ratings. And NXT was also up for 732,000 with a 0.19. Combined, this is important, combined wrestling audience of 1.598 million viewers was the highest on a night when both shows aired since Wednesday, August 4th. And they did have stiff competition last night. There was the NBA Finals between the Lakers and Miami Heat, which did a 2.9 rating. And South Park also had that pandemic special, which drew 2.2 million viewers. I think it was like one of the highest rating sort of demo things that was on that night. So yeah, they had really, really tough competition. And Dave Meltzer tweeted out an interesting note from last night's rating. Both AEW and NXT did great numbers for the first 30 minutes, but when the NBA pre-show started, both fell big. Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin did huge, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that match was fantastic, by the way. It was a great opener, but it's not something that you would have expected just by hearing the match of who's going to be in it or anything like that. Just like hearsay, you wouldn't know. But when the match actually started, it was fantastic. But honestly, I thought that both AEW and NXT both had really good shows combined. And sorry, my audio got a little weird. But all right. So yeah, like honestly, both shows went really well. And I thought they both did. I thought NXT was a great go home show, for NXT TakeOver 31 this Sunday. And AEW, they did a lot of great stuff on their show as well.
I thought that FTR SCU match was absolutely awesome. And
did you like it? I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
How come?
Well, it's not like, I hated it or anything like that. I just didn't feel like it was that great. I just thought it was just like a regular match. I feel like I've seen so many great SCU match, so maybe I hold them up to a different standard now.
Yeah. I think it's me and Ollie were talking about this in our review yesterday, but it's because I've been watching him for so long, I always forget how good Frankie Kazarian is. He's an incredible wrestler, but I feel like I've just got used to him. Like whenever I see him on screen, I'm like, oh, it's Frankie Kazarian. I know I'm going to get a good match here. And then he goes out and has these great matches. I'm like, oh yeah, he's legit one of the best. He's so great.
And I mean, you can say that too about Daniels and Sky. And I just I've said this, but dude, seriously, they still have so much more that they can do with Scorpio Sky. I feel like he's one of those guys that just has been completely underutilized, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, really good week. Have you give me your big one bold prediction for TakeOver 31?
Okay, so my bold prediction, maybe it's not that bold, but my prediction is that I do see Candice LeRae becoming NXT Women's Champion. I just have this gut feeling that it might happen. This might be the moment. And I'm assuming maybe, just maybe, we'll see Io Shirai go to Raw or SmackDown. Now, obviously, we don't know if NXT is technically part of this draft situation, but anything can really happen. So I wouldn't put it past that being an actual thing that could happen.
Dude, I've got the exact same thing down. I've got both the Garganos to win. I've got Johnny beating Priest, and I've got Candice beating. I think those two, as a partnership being double champ, I think that'd be really fun. I think the Garganos holding the mid-cut. You don't see both?
I don't see both. No, I don't see Johnny Gargano. I just think that Damian Priest needs the belt so much more. And he really just got it, honestly, obviously.
I know, yeah.
But I don't see Johnny Gargano actually needing the belt.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I have gone big on that. Anyway, right, let's get into your mailbag. If you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you got to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers on Patreon at any dollar amount and leave a comment in the community section. Do not email me. I will just lose it. We've got a ton of mailbag questions to get through this week. First up from Robert Ray, who says, do you think Orton's run this year has proved he is one of the best characters and heels ever? I finally think he's won me over, as I consider Orton one of the best characters now, with the work he's done from the Legend Killer in 0304 to the psychotic character in 0809, and currently a mixed bag of both. What do you think?
You know what? So like a few years ago, like people were always like, oh, Randy Orton's so great. Randy Orton's so great. And I think my unpopular opinion was that I was never really a Randy Orton fan. I never got the Randy Orton hype. And yeah, I enjoyed a lot of his work, but I was never really like that big of a fan, you know? But I think after what he's been doing this recent year, like I'm seeing him so differently now, and I'm engaged in everything that he's doing. I'm liking what he's done with Edge. I'm liking what he's done with Drew McIntyre. And so I gotta say, he sort of swayed my opinion too. So I agree with our listener on that one, where I feel like I'm seeing Randy Orton in a different light here. In terms of being the best heel or doing the best character work, I think that's very subjective because it really just depends on the person. But I do think that he is doing some of the best work throughout any promotion, in terms of like if you're single-handedly picking guys out, he's doing some of the best across not just WWE but across every other promotion.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever really talked about this on the podcast before. And the near 4 years I've been doing this, but I have also had that unpopular opinion. I've always thought that Randy Orton is boring, so boring. I've never liked a Randy Orton match. Like from when I got back into wrestling in sort of 0405, I always thought Orton was so boring. My mate, my housemate at university, was like desperate for him to beat the Undertaker at Mania because he was like, need to give him the Legend Killer. Like the Legend Killer needs to break the streak. And I was like, oh god, I hope he doesn't. He's so dull. And I've kind of held on to that until last year. Last year was the first time where I was like, oh, actually, yeah, this Randy kid's pretty good. It's taken me a little while to come around. But man, I've always thought he was so boring. He's got one match in him. And yeah, I've never liked him, really.
It's
never liked him as a face, never liked him as a heel.
How we thought the same thing on this one. And it's not something that very many people think, because everybody's usually like, yes, Randy Orton, I'm all here for it. And so I'm actually pretty surprised that we had the same like prior opinion of Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah, when the commentary, like JBL, if you could build a wrestler from the ground up, he would look like Randy Orton. I was like, no, he bloody wouldn't, because he's dead boring. Triple H in interviews being like, he's one of the greatest of all time. I was like, I don't get it. Absolutely, I don't get it. But now, do you know what? I think the last year or so, particularly, I thought the stuff he did in 2019 with Jeff, I thought was great. And this year, he has been so good. Yeah, really, really good. But I won't say he's one of the best of all time. Frank Patello said, if you were friends with a wrestler and were invited to dinner to meet that wrestler's family, what wrestler's family would you like to meet for dinner?
Oh, that's a good one. You know what? Who would your pick be?
I was going to say, be mad awkward now, but Roman Reigns. Because like if you got together for like a big like Anoa'i family and like all like that Samoan dynasty being together like and just sharing memories and talking about their time, basically just controlling the Samoan wrestling industry for the last 50 years, that would be mad interesting.
Yes. You know what? I had a different answer, but I kind of like your answer better. So mine was so dumb. So the first idea that came into my mind was like, okay, well, if I say like Stephanie, that counts as all the McMahons, but that one's a pretty obvious answer. So I'm going to try to think of something different. And then I was like, well, we've been seeing the Mysterio family a lot, but I don't know if that's necessarily the family that I would pick. So I was going to say the Mysterio family, but then when you came up with this, I was like, nah, I changed. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns too. I'm stealing your answer on this one.
I'll allow it. Owen, when you guys say that WWE thinks something is good, do you mean Vince, or is it more of a broad term to describe backstage officials? For example, you said in last week's Mailbag show that WWE think that Retribution are cool. Do you think that Vince thinks Retribution is cool? Yeah, kind of like I think I use it sort of as a broad term. It's sort of like the head creative people, so Vince and Bruce and whoever else is in Vince's inner circle, like Kevin Dunn. That is kind of what I see as like whenever I say WWE think this is cool, that's kind of, it's Vince's inner circle is usually what I'm referring to.
I agree. I had the same thing, Vince and Kevin Dunn. That's what I would say. So, but yeah, I feel sometimes though, when I say like broad, like what you said, broad WWE, sometimes you add imaginary people in your brain, but it's really just like this core group.
Yeah. Al, do you think there will ever be anyone as over as The Undertaker? This is fascinating, by the way. The reason I ask is I met my 10-year-old nephew for the first time since I started seeing his aunt. They live in rural Ireland. When I asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, he said a wrestler like The Undertaker, and he's only been watching for the last 6 months or so. This kid is 10. He's only been watching for 6 months, and his favorite wrestler is The Undertaker. Undertaker hasn't even been around.
Watching?
Like, we haven't seen him since the Boneyard match. And, like, really, we didn't see him much before then either. Is he watching The Last Ride? Is he watching old stuff? That's so interesting.
I would think he would have to be watching old stuff, right? Because it's not like you're going to tune into Raw or SmackDown right now and see The Undertaker. And in the last 6 months, I'm going to assume he's probably, I don't know what he's watching, maybe old YouTube clips on the network. That's very incredible. Wow, that only goes to show that The Undertaker cannot be duplicated whatsoever. We're never going to have another Undertaker. Whether or not he's the best character, again, that's subjective because everybody has different opinions on that. But I will say this, there will never be another Undertaker.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and I can kind of, like, I've told the story that I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling when I was a kid, and I did get that WWF sticker book in like 1994 that my parents made me return. But the character that I was always drawn to with the Legion of Doom and The Undertaker, like, I thought The Undertaker was so cool, and my friends had Royal Rumble on the Mega Drive, and I would always play as The Undertaker because I thought he looked the coolest. So I totally get it, and maybe, like, you're absolutely right, we'll never have another Undertaker, like someone who has that 30-year legacy of the same character, like just doing the same thing. I can't even answer. But I don't think it will ever be anyone quite like that ever again. Nikolai says, "Hi, just became a pledge hammer. Can't wait to listen to the All In review. Hope you enjoy it. We had a blast recording it. Absolutely love the channel. Thank you for all the content. I wanted to ask this for a while. What is your wrestling pet peeve? Mine is when wrestlers break up a pin during a tag team or a multi-person match, and they just hit the person pinning them without moving the other person. Really breaks my immersion because they're still on top of them and both shoulders are still on the ground, so the pin should still be counted." Yes, like
that's very specific. Very specific.
But I totally get it. It's it's the same people as like, I can't get past the Irish whip because if you run against the ropes, the momentum is not going to carry you back. You would just hit those ropes and stop. Like so I totally get it. But I think it's just one of those wrestling things. I've never really thought about it. But like you're absolutely right. Like the shoulders are still down, technically.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wait, so what's your pet peeve? Because I think mine is the DQ finishes when they're trying to protect both guys, especially because we've been seeing so much of that it kind of takes away from, a definitive win. And I want definitive wins, definitive answers. So that would be mine. But what's yours?
I cannot agree with you more. Like getting DQ'd for kicking too much ass is one of my least favorite things in the world. Oh, it's so annoying. I mean, me and Ollie have always talked about this. It's wrestlers coming out and introducing their own video packages.
Yes.
It really irritates me. I've got no idea why it annoys me so much, but it really does. Flaming Clive, Luke, you're a Mega Drive fan. I'm also one, but one of the greatest games ever on the system is Shining Force and Shining Force 2, two of the best games on the system. These games that needed to come up in the mainstream so they can have a resurgence. Thought. The question is, why don't people like tactic-based games like Shining Force and Fire Emblem? It's because Final Fantasy Tactics killed all other games, past and future. Fascinating question there, Flaming Clive. I think Shining Force and Shining Force 2 did get the recognition they deserved, particularly sort of like from Genesis fan base and from the RPG fans. I would say certainly. As to why people don't like tactic-based games, I just think they never really got a foothold here in the West, like a mainstream popular thing here in the West, particularly in the 90s when like games like Shining Force were out. Funny enough, my other podcast that I do is reviewing this TV show from the 90s that's about video games. And they recently did an episode where they reviewed Final Fantasy 2, which I think is Final Fantasy 4 in Japan. And they absolutely slated it. Did not like it at all. But like that's considered to be a really great game. But like here in the West, like it's just those games never really got that foothold in the 90s, and it took until Final Fantasy 7, I would say, that they've got sort of mainstream appeal. So I would say maybe that's why. Denise, are you a video game fan? Are you a player?
No, you got to know that everything that you just said to me, that you just said right now on air, sounded like a foreign language. I was like, I have no idea what he's talking about. I mean, I understood half of what you said, and I don't even think I understood it properly. But I was like, you know what? Good for him. Do your thing, but I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not a gamer. I'm like I feel like gaming is so popular and I'm so uncool for not being a gamer. But even when I was a kid, I wasn't interested. My cousins always wanted to play with me and I was like, sure, I'll do one game. But after that, I don't want to play anymore.
You rolling your eyes at your cousin. Oh god, yeah, I'll give you one go. Oh,
well,
yeah.
I felt bad for my cousin because he was by himself, so he would play video games by himself. And there's games where you want to play with somebody else, and I'd be like, oh, I just want to play Barbies. Leave me alone.
Oh, what was your favorite Barbie?
Oh my god, I don't know if I had a favorite one, but I had like hundreds of Barbies when I was a kid. Hundreds. That was my thing. I was a Barbie girl living in a Barbie world. So honestly, I'm not kidding you. Okay, so freshman year of high school, my teacher would make fun of me because we were like good friends, and she literally had a nickname for me. You will not believe what my nickname was. You want to know what my name was?
I want to hear it.
Year, from my teacher, my creative writing teacher, she would call me Barbie.com because I would go on Barbie.com as a freshman in high school and play the games because they had games where you basically like style up the dolls and oh my God, it was so bad. But anyways, that's what I did freshman year. And then I finally grew out of it once I got into MySpace.
When I got into MySpace, that's when I grew out of Barbie.
Yeah. And then I discovered boys and yeah, things changed. That's the truth. That's the truth. MySpace broke me.
My wife's always talks about she has like very, very fond memories of her. She had the Baywatch ones.
So she was a Barbie girl too.
Oh, she was very much a Barbie girl living in a Barbie world. I got some heat yesterday for saying that I liked the WAP by Cardi B. And I'm also, maybe I'll get some heat for this. I think that Barbie Girl by Aqua is also a bit of a low-key banger. That's a great little song. I love that song. It's a great little party song. That's
yes.
Cannot deny it. Cannot deny it. Anyway, wrestling. Dwayne the Gronk Johnson says...
This is going to turn into a Barbie podcast. People are going to be like, what is this junk? Why are you talking about Barbies? It happens.
It happened. You've got to talk about Barbies. If you haven't seen it, the Toys That Made Us episode on Barbies, which is on it's a Netflix show. It's really, really good. It takes you through the entire history of the Barbie brand. Fascinating stuff. I actually interviewed a guy who worked for the Barbie brand for a long time, Tom Kalinske, because he then moved over to Sega to like run Sega of America with and basically save the Genesis. But yeah, very, very interesting man. They were going to do a Barbie movie in the early 90s or the late 80s, early 90s. They had like a script written and everything, songs. It was going to be a musical. They had songs written for it and everything. They were all ready to go. And the reason why it never got off the ground, at least it's what Tom Kalinske told me, the reason it never got off the ground is Mattel was so protective of the Barbie brand that they didn't want the actor playing Barbie to have a scandal down the line because they didn't want that actor to be known as Barbie actor so-and-so caught in doing whatever. So they were so worried that anything could happen that would affect the Barbie brand that they just scrapped the entire movie.
That is insane. But you know what? Good for them because it was going to happen. But man, I would have been so on board with that movie. I would have gone to the theaters to watch it. But you just know that now in 2020, I can almost guarantee that Barbie movie would have been very problematic.
Well, they're doing one at the moment with Rebel. I think it's Rebel Wilson is playing Barbie. I'm pretty sure it's Rebel Wilson.
Oh, I don't know. But did you ever watch Life Size with Tyra Banks and Lindsay Lohan?
Oh, I did not know.
Oh my God, that was my movie. I cried so hard in that movie. If anybody watched Life Size, that was my movie.
I'm going to check that one out. Also, final thing on that: the fall of the Barbie movie indirectly led to the Street Fighter movie in 1994. The same producer went across to the Barbie movie fell apart, so he was like, "I need another project. I'm going to go and do the Street Fighter movie instead." Fun fact: I've written a book about it. Anyway, Dwayne the Gronk Johnson says, "I wanted to ask you guys, who do you think will be the person to end Drew McIntyre's title run? Personally, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be Brock Lesnar when WWE's Thunderdome deal expires and they move to their reported new location. In order for them to pop a quick rating, Brock Lesnar will beat Drew. Who do you guys think Drew will drop the belt to?"
I'm going to say I don't know yet, just because I do think that he should have the belt. I'm going to say until next year. I don't know if maybe all the way till WrestleMania, but definitely into next year. So I feel like given that I think that he's going to have the belt for such a long time, I still don't know who might actually take that belt away from him. But I don't know if it should be Brock Lesnar, though. I just don't feel like that's who it should be. I think it should be somebody that would actually benefit from beating Drew to become champion. So I guess it just depends on who gets built up really well.
Yeah, I think we're going to know a bit more after the draft, but like I'm a bit concerned that we're moving into a third month of this Randy Orton feud and a potential third match between the two of them. Like that does concern me somewhat, because like I think I'm over that feud now. I think we're done. I think we're time to move past that. But really, Drew hasn't got any other big challenges like
He
left for
doesn't
the
have
belt.
anybody.
There's no one. So like, yeah, Brock kind of makes sense in that regard. So I think once we've seen the draft and we can see where the pieces in place are, that's when I think we can get a better picture of like who it could be to beat Drew. Because at this point, I don't think it should be Randy. Like I don't want to see Randy beat him on his third try inside Hell in the Cell, and because then surely you've got to do a fourth match, and like that's overkill at that point.
Did you think at Clash of Champions at the end of their ambulance match that was the end? That was
Yes.
going to be the closure? Because I really
Totally.
thought that I didn't think we were going to be seeing like a Hell in a Cell. I didn't think that we were going to be seeing Randy Orton beat up the Legends right after, at the end of Raw. I wasn't expecting any of that.
Yeah, so same here. Chris Gardner, after watching Roman versus Jake, got me thinking, when did WWE make you the most uncomfortable in the right way when watching something? Roman feels so more dangerous and badass thanks to that match for me. That's a really good question. And I can't think from WWE, I can't think of a match where I felt like uncomfortable in a good way. Like, being like, oh my God, I'm concerned for this character being in this ring and doing this. I don't know, because like, yeah, that's a really tough question. I guess
That's
Foley,
a really
but then
hard one.
but it feels too real to say Foley inside Hell in the Cell, because like that watching that match makes me feel uncomfortable in a bad way, because that makes me feel like, oh, we should probably just be stopping this now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've ever had uncomfortable in a good way, but in a bad way, yes. And most recently, I would say was the last AEW pay-per-view where we had Matt Hardy just, lands his head right on the concrete. That was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable for like the rest of the night after that. So when I think uncomfortable, that's the memory that pops into my head, my most recent one. But not uncomfortable in a good way, though. I don't have an answer for that one.
Honestly, I don't have an answer either. Let us know in the comments down below if you could think of a good answer for that, because that's a great question, Chris. What a great match that was, though. The Roman J match, not
Yeah, I was gonna say Sammy, Matt Hardy. What?
Oh no, that was very bad. That took the wind out of everyone's sails.
Yeah.
The Adept 2. Should AEW promote the IWGP Championship match between Moxley and Kenta? I've heard Kenta lives in Florida, so it might make it easy. I mean, he's over in Japan at the moment. Also, Moxley may drop the AEW title by the time the G1 wraps up, so Kenta can win without beating their champion. I know the US title means nothing, but it seems like a good opportunity to finally open that forbidden portal. Well, the AdNap 2. With Harold Meij now having left New Japan, Sean was actually just talking about this on Fightful Select, that he firmly believes that with Harold out of the picture, the potential for working relationships between New Japan and Impact and AEW is much easier now. So it could be something that we might see down the line.
You know what? I'm going to have to disagree with my good friend, Sean Ross Sapp. I'm going to say I don't see it happen. Okay, so first of all, in terms of whether or not they should be promoting the Moxley match, I'm going to say no, just because he's your world champion. So why are you going to promote a title match in which he's defending necessarily a mid-card title? Plus, I really don't think that. I think New Japan is going to hold, their issues that they had with AEW. They're going to hold those issues. And I just don't see them necessarily letting it go that easily and just forming up this new, bond or relationship or whatever. I'm not as optimistic about it.
Yeah, I perhaps I will agree with you on that one. Drew Porter, hey guys, first time I've sent a question for months. Watching Clash of Champions, it came to me that they could take Roman and Jay to WrestleMania, where Jay finally beats him, maybe somehow winning the Royal Rumble against the odds. I'd love to hear your ideas on thoughts on this happening, and if so, how would you write it? I think for me, Drew, the Jay storyline isn't it's not a storyline where Jay eventually wins the title at the end of all of this. I think this is very much just a stepping stone to get over this Roman character, to build him up for his eventual matches against The Fiend and possibly The Rock. Like, if there's going to be a member of the family that beats Roman, it's going to be The Rock.
Yeah, I see this whole Jay thing. Like, this is it. Like, he went and he gave him, a long, lengthy match, so it wouldn't just be a quick squash. I don't see anything more coming out of this. I think this was really just to really amp up Roman Reigns as a heel.
Yeah. Irakli, what do you think is Vince McMahon's favorite movie? What was the movie you just mentioned? Then it's probably that one.
Did I mention a movie? What did I say?
Yeah. Life Size, did you say, with Tyra
Life Size with Tyra Banks and Lindsay Lohan. That's Vince's favorite movie. I don't know what his favorite movie could possibly be.
I'm going to say it's Life Size. I'm going to say it's Life Size, and it makes him cry, just like it made Denise Salcedo cry.
There you go. Life Size is his favorite movie. Let's go with that.
Give me a one-line pitch of Life Size so I can check it out over the weekend.
Okay, so Life Size. I'm so excited. Basically, from what I remember, Lindsay gets a Barbie doll, and she basically, I don't know, I forget if she wishes for it to come true, but Tyra Banks is a Barbie and she comes to life. Okay, that's all I remember, is that she comes to life, and then they have like a great friendship, and it's just really great. Okay, like, it's heartwarming. Yes, you got to see it. You got to check
this out. I love it. Absolutely love it. And because like it's early Lohan, I mean it's early 90s. I'm in for it.
Yeah.
Or maybe late 90s.
I'm like, I hope it was Lindsay Lohan. Why am I blanking? All right. I'm going to search that up while you continue on.
I was going to say, you double check that just before we go. Chris Duncan.
Sure, because I'm forgetting now. Yeah, Chris Duncan, is Lindsay Lohan. Yes.
Chris Duncan, be interesting to hear your thoughts on the amount of referee botches in wrestling recently, mainly in WWE. First, the Mickey James incident, Ivar's injury, and Garza's injury, with the commentators confused of how the finishes went. Do you think the referee should just come out during the match and say if someone is legit injured to their opponent's teams, say we have to finish the match early? There just seems to be a lack of communication between the refs and wrestlers. I mean, Chris, you're basically on the money. The referees are told you need to end this match early, and the referees are telling people the match has to be ended early, but the problem is, from what I can gather, they've only told the people who are getting the pin that the match is ending early, and not the people they're pinning. Hence why Mickey looked shocked when they called for the bell, why Ricochet kicked out, and why Andrade kicked out. I think it's the referees are telling one person, but not the other party. And they're not informing the commentators either. So I honestly, I don't know why. But in this, I don't blame the referees in any of this.
Do you not? You don't feel like they're panicking?
Oh, I think they're panicking, yeah. And I do blame the referees for not telling the other person. But, like, it's surely in terms of the commentary, I meant more for the commentary team, sorry. I should have been more clear on that. Like, the backstage people should be telling the commentators the match is coming to an end early because of X, Y, and Z. Cover for it on that. But, like, you wouldn't have to cover it on commentary if Andrade and Ricochet weren't kicking out.
I'm curious. I don't know if this may be the case, but I'm wondering if maybe, obviously, the refs are essentially, instructed to ref like it's a shoot, meaning like the guy's shoulders weren't down, then don't count the 3, even if it was the finish. But now it looks like if they're reffing, like they know the finish in advance. So maybe they're taking it home early, they're panicking, or, if things don't go the right way. So I think that might be the issue, but I don't know. But it's so weird how I feel like we didn't really see this many mistakes before. And now I feel like we've been seeing it consistently, and it really, really stood out to me in that Mickey James match. I mean, I don't know if they ever came out with some sort of legit, they didn't, right? Some sort of consensus as to what really happened. It was really just hearsay.
Yeah, Mickey was on TV the following week. She was against Zelina Vega, so clearly she wasn't massively injured.
Right, yeah. Exactly. So you could take injury out of the picture. So it was definitely from what I recall seeing, it was definitely a mistake on the referee's part, but who knows?
Who knows? Lynn Bell, hope everything is well. Denise, I loved your reaction at the very end of your Raw review with SRS when he cursed. Priceless! Especially it was shown at the stream when off the air, freezing on your reaction. Loved it. I've got more of a comment than a question, and it probably should have been in last week's mailbag, but I needed to build up the courage to make this comment public. For more than a week now, I've been looking at different opinions on the Retribution names, and I'm going to bring something up that I haven't seen mentioned yet. Warning, sensitive topic coming up. And don't worry, I'll make sure to use words that won't get your channel flagged for inappropriate content. Thanks, Lynn. When I hear the name mace, I automatically think of the product used by people to defend themselves against attacks. It's used by all genders, I know, but it is generally associated with being used by women against attacks of nature relating to the speaking out movement. Speaking out movement and the fallout of it still fresh in people's minds, and the allegations against current talent that are still causing controversy today, it's in poor taste to have a wrestler with a gimmick name Mace. I feel like it can actually trigger something in survivors who have or are working so hard to find a way to live with what happened to them. With the whole retribution gimmick being attacking people, if that actually is their gimmick, I think it needs to at least be mentioned that some people have that kind of association with that name. I am not touching Slapjack with a 10-foot pole. Mace is bad enough. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't put that connection together with Mace because I'm a D&D player. When I hear Mace, I think of what I think that the Mace is actually named out of, which is, you know, sort of like a very archaic weapon of, you know, the ball with sort of spikes in it. That was my first thoughts.
No, I actually had the same exact thing. The mace, like the spray thing that you would use for attackers. So I actually thought about it in that sense, but I didn't go as far to maybe associate it with, you know, people maybe suffering from PTSD over an attack or something that may have happened. I didn't connect it that far, but that's what I was thinking in terms of mace. But I didn't really put that much thought into it. I mean, I knew that everything was named, you know, or not named, but inspired, I guess you can say, by some sort of weapon. I think this was the understanding of it. And so I didn't put that much thought into it. But I do think with situations like this is that you can't really say that something specific would trigger somebody because you don't. I feel like anything could have happened in anybody's life and anything can trigger some bad emotion depending on whatever it is. So yeah, I get it. Mace is like a, you know, he made this connection of mace, but I don't necessarily think that it might be that common for people to, you know, get a nervous reaction over it. Because I mean, you can really have a nervous reaction over anything. I know this woman who's terrified. Well, I don't know this woman, but this woman told my grandma that she's terrified of the moon. Okay. And I thought, who is terrified of the moon? And I started thinking, oh my God, there's probably all these people that are terrified of certain things because they associate it with maybe something that happened in their life. And I get it because we all have our phobias. Like me, I'm afraid of like large bodies of water. Why? Because one time when I was a kid, I was like drowning. So, I mean, everything is different. Like anything can trigger anything in somebody, like a response in somebody.
If I remember correctly as well, on our Extreme Rules reaction, aren't you like afraid of holes and things like that?
I have that phobia. I hate it. Oh, I hate it. I was at my pre-COVID. I was at a party at my aunt's house, and she had this like the heater on, and it started burning the pole of the pole that was there. It started burning a pole, right? And the paint started chipping off, and it formed all these little circles. Oh my God, I'm getting chills about it. And I left the party after that. I couldn't handle it. Bothered me so much. I was like, I need to go home. I went home right after that happened because I can't, like, it's a horrible phobia. Oh,
Denise, you're one of my favorite people on this planet. Ket says, what's up, WrestleTalk? Do you think matches like steel cages and Hell in a Cells would be better if they didn't have a door? I think cage matches certainly would, because I hate the doors on steel cage matches. I hate this. I don't think there's any drama in someone walking towards a door and stepping out of it. Like, surely the drama is climbing over the cage. Stepping out of the door just seems so lame.
And the same thing always happens. Somebody's on the outside. Somebody's heads get smashed in between the doors. I do think that without the door would be a lot better because then it would just give the illusion that two guys are really just trapped in there like caged animals and they have no choice but to kill each other before they can come out. And there is no door. There is no option for survival. All right, I got really into that.
Christian Baltimore says, first of all, congrats to Denise Salcedo for your new role with Wrestling Observer. Denise, now that you're currently working with Luke Owen, Sean Rossap, and Brian Alvarez, which member of the Shield would each one of them be? One has to be the Architect, one has to be the Lunatic Fringe, and one has to be the Big Dog. Jam that jam. Yes, please get rowdy. Well, I mean, this is a question for you, man.
I would say the Architect, maybe Brian. I would say
he came before me and Sean. He has to be, yeah.
I would say the Big Dog Sean, just because I feel like that would be something that he would go with. and I would give you the lunatic fringe for sure. Because I feel like you would go crazy.
Yeah, I think that completely makes sense. Brian laid the path for all of us. Sean is like one of the best reporters, if not the best reporter out there at the moment. Which leaves me with Ambrose. I'm happy with Ambrose.
No, okay. I gave Sean Ross Sapp the big dog because I feel like that's a name he would want to claim. I don't know why. I feel like he would be. I feel like he would be proud going around saying, "I'm the big dog."
The big dong. Recent.
That's good.
It says, I hope you're both doing well. Big congrats to Denise and her new role with Wrestling Observer. Can we all agree that crowds should not, and thus hopefully will not, return in full to wrestling anytime soon? But when they do, as two people versed in both mainstream and indie wrestling, is there any chant you're looking forward to hearing again? And is there any you'll be happy to never hear again?
I think this depends on what your favorite chant is. What's your favorite chant?
Well, I mean, as a British wrestling fan, like we are good for our chants, and it is like getting involved with. It's like there are so many. It's like we've got loads for Zack. Oh, Zack Sabre Jr. Oh, yeah, like that's that sort of thing. Like will always run through my head. Tyler Bate, Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate, na 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 na, and being like amongst all of this crowd. I mean, yeah, there's loads of like wrestling chants that I do miss, but the one I never ever want to hear again is what it's time. No, it's time for it to go. It's been 19 years that we have been ruining promos by chanting what.
It's never gonna go away. We're gonna be long gone, Luke. Long gone, and it's still gonna be happening.
Speaking of long gone and still happening, whenever a table break happens and people chant ECW, the company's been dead for 20 years. Get over it. Like it's time.
Some people can't get over it. People can't get over certain things like dying, especially if they were like a big fan of it. I've noticed that about people. But okay, so my chant, because this is my favorite wrestling chant, and I use this in my daily life, is the "you effed up" chant. I don't know if I can say that word on here, so I just cut it down to "you effed up." I love that chant. That's my favorite chant, and whenever anybody messes up in life, in real life, I will use that chant for them.
That's good. Is there anyone you don't want to hear?
No, I think I like everything. I don't think anything really bugs me. And if there is, I probably it doesn't bug me hard enough to where I remember it.
Marcus Campbell, hey Team Danuke, with the draft coming up. What moves are you expecting to see? Have you got any predictions?
I think in terms of moves, maybe I would like to see AJ Styles go back to Raw, because we were talking about Drew McIntyre needing more opponents. There's one for you. And maybe Randy Orton to SmackDown, but babyface Randy Orton to SmackDown to face up against Roman Reigns, heel Roman Reigns.
Okay. But I think you might be on the money with AJ though. Like I think AJ going across to be a challenger for Drew, I think it's such a good idea actually, particularly now he's not the IC champ. Move Sammy and Jeff into their own program. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good move. Or even like Jeff moving across to be a champion for Drew as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't have any big predictions for this year's though, because like I'd like to see the Hurt Business and Apollo Crews and his mates get separated. I'd like to see some even if it's just Ricochet.
The Hurt Business though, since they've sort of been like a big focal point.
No, I just want Crews and his mates to be basically what I want the Hurt Business to stop feuding with Apollo Crews, because they've been doing it for so long now. I'm ready for that to be done. And I feel like the only way it can be done is if they're on different shows. So I'd like to see Crews or Ricochet or whoever moved over to SmackDown. I want the Hurt Business to stay on Raw though, because that's the show I review, and I really like the Hurt Business. I think they're so awesome.
So you're being selfish. You want the Hurt Business.
Oh yeah, of course I am. Oh, Denise, when we were doing the Clash of Champions review, I was thrilled when Drew Gulak won the 24/7 title, because I was like, Pete, it's on your show now. It's on SmackDown, you big dumbhead. Like, it's on your show now. And then Drew won it back. I know. It's so annoying.
And it didn't even make any sense as to why it was even back in the first place.
Hey, that's the other one I'm going to say. Then I want Truth to go to SmackDown and take that stupid belt with him. I don't want it anymore. Alex Kirkman says, loving the content as always. My question is there any hope for King of the Ring? I love a good tournament and think that done properly, it can be a brilliant springboard for talent. A one-night King of the Ring 8-man tournament like it originally was. I always thought WWE should take it seriously and maybe treat it like a Royal Rumble where the winner gets a title shot, which is how it actually used to be. But I don't think they've taken it seriously for years. It's a real shame. Your thoughts on King of the Rings, and is it too late to salvage? Vince hates tournaments. Like, that is basically it. Vince doesn't like tournaments, so they're never going to be taken seriously. I used to love it, the King of the Ring, like 98, 99, 2000, 2001, where it was like you won King of the Ring and that earned you a title shot at the next pay-per-view. I always loved that. And you weren't saddled with being this king gimmick. You didn't have the crown and the scepter and become a comedy goofball. But they haven't taken it seriously for years. Like, the King of the Ring now is just to create a new king gimmick. And that's it. Like, you know, King Corbin's been King Corbin for over a year now, everyone. And there's not a snifter of it ever going away. So it's never going to be taken seriously, I'm afraid.
I feel that the last person it may have even elevated was probably Brock Lesnar in 02.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, it's not like he really needed it. He was still on his way to becoming a superstar, a mega ultra superstar. But if anybody, that would probably be like the last person that it did any favors for. But yeah, for everybody else, it's just been like a hokey King Corbin situation.
Daniel says, hello from Baltimore. For the past couple of months, I've been going through and watching episodes of WCW Thunder, as well as the pay-per-views. And the one thing I've noticed for the most part, WCW never really changed their championship belt designs. And of course, there's a couple of exceptions, but by the most, they were kept the same until they were changed or absorbed by WWE. My question is, if WWE never changed a championship belt design, which version of the current championships would you like to be the design for that title? For example, my pick for the IC title would be the white strap design. Sorry for the long question. Love all the content. My drive to work is a lot better with WrestleTalk in it. Thank you very much, Daniel. My simple answer to this is this belt that I've currently got on my shoulder here. This is the best WWF championship they've ever had. This design, obviously you can't really see it because it's got the big Jam That Jam sticker over it. This is the Triple H belt, as I often call it. This is my title. Like, this is the WWF title. I think it looks the most prestigious. It's my favorite championship design. Not including the United Kingdom Championship, which I think is bloody lovely.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you because I love that one too, but I do like the idea of the white strap belt. Oh, I love white strap belts. Like, you can fool me. Like, you can make it like a little bit ugly in the front, but as long as it got that white strap, like I could look the other way a little bit.
That guy who wants to support says, hi, Luke, and apparently the only person in wrestling YouTube to have good tasting candy bars, Denise, Hershey's over Kit Kats every day. Boo you, that guy who wants to support. Hershey's Kisses are terrible. It's scientifically proven for Brits. Anyway, I've been thinking about this for a while. Do you think that JR actually enjoys the AEW product? Not trying to take anything away. He's the greatest commentator of all time. But do you think he's just past his prime? He's just there to pick up the check. Also, who is your favorite commentator today, and why is it Kevin Kelly? Have a great weekend. Good luck to Denise in F4W. You're absolutely right. Kevin Kelly is the correct answer. I love Kevin Kelly's commentary. Dude is amazing. I've spoken about JR a lot. I don't like salty JR. I think JR just sort of actively burying the product when he's there. I do not like it. It's not for me. What are your thoughts on JR?
In the nicest way possible, we've seen all that we can get out of him. He hasn't done anything different. I think the fact that he's now in a new company, I don't like hearing the same things that we were hearing when he was in WWE all those years. I feel that he needs to come up with some new verbiage. You know, I don't want to hear the same things over and over. So I don't think that he doesn't enjoy the product. I do think he does enjoy the product and what he's seen, but it's not creative anymore. I think that we've gotten all that we can get out of him. And I think that I would like to hear some new voices, some new people that maybe I don't know of or haven't heard of before. I would love to hear new people and get their, but then again, JR is a legend. So I get that. I get why he's there, but I do think that we've gotten just about all that we can get from him. But yeah, adding to the commentators list, I do like Don Callis. I do like Josh Matthews as a commentator. I think Rocky Romero has also been doing a really great job on commentary. I love all the fun facts that he's been adding for the G1. I mean, he just comes up with some good ones where I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like I remember for Ishii, he was saying how like Ishii gets the most rest when he's in the bus. Like he actually relaxes. And I don't know why, but that one fun fact really stuck with me.
Yeah, I love Kevin Kelly. Fun story of Kevin Kelly. I unfortunately was not there to see this, but Ollie has told me this in great detail. But when the New Japan, it wasn't last year, it was the year before when they were doing their tour with Ring of Honor. Ollie was there to because WrestleTalk had like a meet and greet section at the sort of in the pre-show area, and Ollie on that day, he met Okada, he met Suzuki, he met a lot of the New Japan guys, but was too afraid to meet Kevin Kelly because he basically marked out and just he fanboyed and could not face Kevin Kelly. He was like, I'm too scared to meet him.
No, oh my God, that is an awesome story. Have you ever gotten so nervous that you didn't want to meet somebody?
I don't think I ever have. When I was a teenager, I went to a HMV signing where Bam Margera was signing. Yeah, they did that. I think they released a box set here in the UK of the first it was the first 3 seasons of Jackass, or it was the best of the first 3 seasons. I've actually still got the box, and Bam was at this HMV doing a signing, so I went down there to get that signed and my copy of CKY I had on DVD, and I was so nervous to meet him because I was such a Jackass fan. I was such a CKY fan. I was so nervous to meet him, and the photo I've got with him, I look like such an idiot. I've got this dumb, goofy smile on my face. I don't even know where the photo is anymore because I hate it so much. I'd never want to share it out ever again.
That's the worst, when you take a really happy photo, but then you look awful. That's how I felt with my first picture of Jericho. I look so horrible. I don't want to share that picture. So I get what you mean by that.
Oh, dude, and it was in the days of pre-digital. So I had to go and get that processed. I had to go and get it from the photo store. And the heartbreak I had that 4 weeks after I had that photo taken and I get it processed and I look at it, I'm like, oh man, I look like an idiot now.
That's terrible. I feel so bad.
That was the absolute worst. And I've never met him again. I've never seen him since. So I've never even had a second go at it. No.
My fear if I ever meet Taylor Swift, that I'm gonna look so ugly in the picture because I know I'm gonna have the biggest smile, and when I smile really big, my eyes go like this, so they're practically gone, and so my cheeks go all the way up here, and I turn really red, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna look so ugly in my picture with Taylor, but I'm gonna be so happy, but I'm gonna look so ugly. So I feel you on this one. And also, I had a Bam Margera skateboard. Yeah, I was like a skateboard in 8th grade, but I never had any wheels on it. I just had the actual board because I liked it. And I didn't even ride the skateboard, but I had it for the longest time. I thought I was so cool with my Bam Margera skateboard.
We were all so cool with our Bam Margera merchandise. I had a t-shirt that was 3 sizes too big for me because that was the style at the time. I've got much better photos of me meeting Ryan Dunn and Steve-O on the Steve-O's tour he did a show in Liverpool. I met them, me and my cousin got there about 4 hours before the show started. And Steve-O and Dunn pulled up in their van to record some stuff for the DVD they were doing. So we got to have a chat with them and got our photos taken. And they were super cool and super nice. So I looked much better in those photos, and I still had my long hair at that point as well. I had my long hair for the Bam photo, but I had it pulled back into a ponytail, which does not help the photo. Jumper JJ says, hello, Team Danuk. My question is, does AEW do too many gimmick matches? Have a nice day. Jam that jam. I don't think they do. And if they do, I certainly haven't noticed. I think they're good at promoting them to make it feel like they don't do a lot of them.
What was it? Mimosa Madness? Oh, I don't even know anymore.
I loved it. I on our prediction show, I called that, and I quote, effing genius. Because one of them is based around orange juice. The other one is based around bubbly. It's a mimosa. Oh, genius. Loved it. And I thought the match was great.
You know what? I think it I don't mind gimmick matches. All right. I'm that person. I don't mind them. So I won't say that they do too much, but then again, that's just me. I can see other people that just want to watch, just straight wrestling. They don't care about the, extra, razzle dazzle. They don't care about any of that. So I think it really just depends on the person and what they want out of their wrestling. Like, if they just want straight wrestling, then maybe AEW isn't always for that person. But if you're into the, the entertainment and the quirky stuff, then yeah, AEW is a little bit more for you.
And lastly, from Callum, who says, hey, Team Danuke, with Raw being so bad at the moment and SmackDown being so amazing, do you think that could all change in the draft when the picks come in? Also, as a side note, is NXT involved in this one? Because I haven't heard many people say that it is. Thanks. Yeah, I think from reports, NXT isn't involved in this year's draft, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you're shaking your head, so I don't think that NXT is involved this year.
So I don't think they're involved, but I think they're gonna be.
Okay, interesting. I think that things will stay the same. SRS was talking about this on Fightful Select, that Vince and co are really high on SmackDown at the moment. Like, that's the show that they're most invested in, which is why the show ends up being so good and Raw ends up being so, like, sort of forgotten about. So I think even when the draft happens, they're still going to be so into SmackDown that the show will still get the most attention put upon it. So I really don't think things will change even post-draft.
Isn't that weird, though? Because Raw has always been considered the A show, the main show. Yeah. It's kind of weird, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it'll change in 6 months' time. Like, they'll change their mind eventually. But that is all we've got time for this edition of the Friday Magazine Show. Denise, it is always a pleasure. It's never a chore to get up early and have a chat with you, particularly when we go off on our stupid tangents about Barbies and meeting Bam Margera. Denise, where can people find you on the old social media channels?
Twitter and Instagram @ Denise Salcedo. I'm almost at 10K, so please follow me. I just want to get to 10K already so that I can feel better about myself and my social presence, because apparently that adds to my confidence. So Twitter and Instagram @ Denise Salcedo. I post all of my announcements on there. Everything that you need to know about the 1 million things I'm working on are on there. And I'm very active too. And then youtube.com/Denise Salcedo is where you can find everything.
Absolutely. Or you can click this button right here, which will take you straight to Denise's channel. Help her reach her goals. Go and follow her on Twitter. She is excellent. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you next week. I've been Luke Cohen. This has been Denise Salcedo, and that was wrestling.